4 phases of the development of independent work time, or workshop. We wish to thank Renette Ernest and her 2nd grade class for demonstrating just how this is done. We asked Mrs. Ernest how she gets workshops started each year.
I teach the children one activity all together, something that can be repeated and can go on for a while. And those activities may change from the beginning of the school year. Books. These are your hands. This is your book. Today we're going to learn all about the rules for workshop or independent work time. Like anything else we do, to make things easier in school or at home, we have rules to go by, right? And when we have rules, things go as we expect, we get the job done, and we're much happier. So just like at home, just like other parts of school, we're going to have rules for our workshop or our work time. The first rule, of course, is to speak in a quiet voice. And when I mean quiet voice, I mean our 6-inch voices, so that someone who's sitting past 6 inches from you can't hear you or understand you, and they can still get their work done. The second rule is to share materials, pencils, papers, and ideas, because sometimes 2 heads are better than 1, with other students. Number 3, be polite. When I walk around monitoring, I want to hear words like, thank you, excuse me, may I? Sure. The next rule, take turns with the materials and always put everything back when you're done. Last but not least, when you see the teacher working with the student, you may not interrupt. That's special, precious time, and we want to keep it that way. When I'm working with you, that's our special time. When I'm working with you, that's our special time, and you have the right to have me all to yourself, and no one else can come in. So we'll keep these rules. My job today is to make sure you follow them, and I'll be watching to see who does a good job at that. Today's workshop activity is independent reading. You get to enjoy some of your favorite books, and that's what reading's all about. You get to do what makes you feel good, what excites your imagination, and makes you want to read more. Okay, so now, you know what we're going to do. You need to know now about the procedures. That's how we'll do it. Okay? Some of you already have books in your desks, and you'll use those because you already figured out that you can read those and that you like those. But if you're finished with those, or you're almost finished with those, or if you need a new book, then you'll come to the classroom library, you'll choose one independently, and this is how you'll do it. Remember the 5-finger rule we talked about? You choose a book that looks pretty interesting, and I'll just pick one here, Scooby-Doo, the Kidnapped Caper. And I'll look on the back and see if there's any writing about that story, and if there is, I'll read it. If there isn't, like this one, I'm going to have to read inside, choose a page, and if I can read that page with no more than 5 errors or troubled words on the page, then that's an okay book for me to read. But if I have 5 or more mistakes, or if I have trouble with 5 or more words, that book is probably too hard for me, and I want to put it back in the same place, and I want to find another book that I can read with no difficulty. This time it will be a short independent reading time. We'll have about 5 minutes, and at your desks, I want you to open your books, and I want you to read silently. That means with no words coming out of your mouths, and if possible, with no movements of your lips. And if that's not possible, if you have to move those lips, then I want you to read like a fish. And you know how a fish moves its lips in the tank and it never says a word, just like this. You open your book and you read like a fish. Would you now show me how you read like a fish? Open your imaginary books and read like a fish. Okay? That's how we do that. The other thing I want to remind you about is appropriate behavior. Because I'm trusting you to do the right thing, I need to know that when you come to the bookshelf, when you go to your desk, you go there with a purpose. Your purpose for coming to the bookshelf is to get a book, not to visit with a friend. Fast, back to your desk, back to business. My job today is to walk around and see that you have followed the procedures well. 5 minutes, your own book, or a book from the bookshelf. Are there any questions? You read this one. Try that one out and see how it is, okay? Would be a good one.
Chapter.
Okay. Okay, our 5 minutes are up. It's time to get back together. Attention up here so that we can debrief. I want to hear what you thought about workshop time, what you liked about it. I also want to know what we can do better for tomorrow. And if you can, some of you may want to even share something that you learned or something special that you enjoyed about a book you read. Well, it's time to start our workshop today, and as you see, I have our workshop menu up on the board for us. You notice that I have must-dos and I have may-dos, and there's nothing here. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. First, the must-dos. Today, there are 2 things you have to do in workshop. The first is fluency practice. All of you have your fluency folders. You know the procedure. You open your fluency folder at your desk. You practice those words and you learn how to decode every single word on that page. When you think you're ready, when you think you know all of the words on that page, then you're ready for a partner to test you. You're ready to then go to the chart for a partner. You'll be able to test each other using the clock and giving each other a lot of encouragement. That's the first part of workshop. Everyone will do that. You're ready to then go from this activity to this activity in a smooth, deliberate, and focused way. We'll do it without talking to one another. We'll do it without playing. We'll do it with the idea that we are independent learners, and independent learners are serious about what they do. Independent learners have a purpose. Everything they do in class has a purpose, has a reason. So, from fluency practice, we'll go to our seats and we'll take out our writing folders and we'll open those. Some of you are still in your drafting stage, and now it's time for you to move on in the writing process. I showed you yesterday how to revise your passages or your writing, and you can begin doing that today. So those are the 2 must-dos today. Okay, and remember I told you I'd talk about this? Now I'm going to talk about it. When you show me that you can complete this like an independent learner, and you can transition, move from here to here like an independent learner, then I'm going to add some neat things here for you to do on your own next workshop time. Understand? Ready? Let's go.
You have a big box, said Rabbit. Yes, said Fox. It is a trap. Tell me when to start. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen who worked very, very hard. One day, the little red hen called to her friends. I have some wheat, she said. Whoa, said Spider. Will you look at that? Some big kids down the street had built a swell tree house. Once upon a time, a little red hen who worked very, very hard. One day, the little red hen called to her friends. I have some wheat, she said, and I am going to plant it. Who will help me plant the wheat? Hey, Bulldog said, Meg, help me pull this sled. I can't, said the Bulldog. My neck is damp. To Bill.
I want to ask you to put your pencils down and give me your attention for just a second. Nice job. Nice session. I enjoyed watching you work. I saw a lot of people busy, a lot of people interacting, and I saw, more importantly, some peers getting together and checking each other's fluency rates. So any news, any good news? Anybody increased in their fluency today? Anyone on a new story? Yes. On the story you did today, how many words per minute did you read?
100.
Excellent. And were you able to understand what you were reading as you did it? Excellent, excellent. Cynthia?
I'm already on a story. It's number 36. Has 154, and I already read it a million times.
Fantastic. So practice makes perfect, doesn't it? I had to give you a mini lesson. And for this mini lesson, I'm going to need a volunteer. I'm sorry, don't all run away at the same time. Someone who doesn't mind being up here and acting with me a little bit. Okay, today's workshop starts with our workshop menu. We have some must-dos and we have a may-do. I promise that. You have it. Wait till you hear about that. First of all, let's look at the must-dos. Number one, fluency practice. We've all done it. You know what to do. You know my expectations. Number two, writing. Today, you may either complete your realistic fiction or you may begin a new piece. That will be your choice. Okay? Now, the may-do. I think we're going to have fun with this. You may choose any two characters from any book that you've enjoyed reading or any story that you've enjoyed reading recently, and you get to compare them in a special way. Your instructions for this assignment are on that small table in the back of the room. You'll find your partner if you want to work with a partner, or you may work alone. So, may do, character, comparisons.
Notice that the must-do activities are numbered, indicating the order in which they must be completed before students move to the may-do activity, which in this case is a challenge activity.
Ready? Are there any questions? Well, since there are no questions, I have a couple of reminders for you. During this workshop time, since you worked so well yesterday and the other day, I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to choose a small group of students to work with. So because of that, you have to keep in mind a couple of our rules. Number one, speak in quiet voices. It's going to be so important for us when we're working together in our small group. My ears need to focus on them and not you. I trust you to do the right thing. Okay? Number two, you become your own problem solver. If something happens, if there's something that you need, you take care of those needs. If you have to ask a neighbor, you may do that. If you have